Hey, Soulmates, we're just about back to another weekend. We appreciate you. If you're just joining us, let's tap back into today's top stories. We go to Alabama, where students at Hillcrest High School in Tuscaloosa County are coming together to protest their school's controversial Black History Month program. Students say the administration is refusing to teach key parts of Black history, just like like the civil rights movement and slavery. They claim that the school refused to allow a student-run Black history program to teach historical moments that occurred before the 70s. That includes slavery, civil rights movement, and the Black Panthers. Hundreds of Hillcrest High Schoolers protested outside of the school grounds, demanding for the topics to be covered in those courses. To Ohio now, where a Bexley middle school teacher was placed on administrative leave after a racist image appeared behind two students reading morning announcements. Now, according to the school district, the image appeared on a green screen behind the two student anchors. It showed an orangutan eating a watermelon immediately after a historical fact was read about Black History Month. The video announcements are recorded before they are shown. The district did not say if anyone watched the video before it aired. The teacher who supervises the morning announcements was put on leave. A letter was sent to the families of those students after the incident, apologizing to families. That doesn't sound like enough to me. Here we go. Students in the city of Baltimore are facing some pretty hard challenges based off the latest test scores. The results are absolutely shocking, as mostly all, you heard me, mostly all students are not performing at grade level in math. The Maryland State Department of Education recently released the 2022 state test results, known as MCAP. That stands for Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program. Baltimore City's math scores were the lowest in the state. Just 7% of 3rd through 8th graders tested proficient in math, which means 93% could not do math at their respective grade level. And lastly here, a new bill in the state legislature would clear the way for cannabis catering at private events. Now, the proposal would allow cannabis companies to obtain catering licenses and offer those services at private events. However, it does have some restrictions, like controlling the area where the cannabis will be used, and would have to be restricted to those 21 and up. Also, the caterer would not be allowed to provide alcohol services. We're going to go back over to Nicordelai at the desk.
Thank you, Courtney. Now off to the world of former First Lady Michelle Obama. She's launching an 8-episode podcast inspired by her memoir, The Light We Carry. The show will be called Michelle Obama, The Light Podcast, and will feature candid discussions Obama had with a collective of influential individuals in the realm of entertainment. Along her book tour, among them set to join Obama are Tyler Perry, Hoda from the Today Show, Oprah Winfrey, David Letterman, Ellen DeGeneres, Conan O'Brien, Gayle King, and others. The podcast is being created under the Obama's production imprint, Higher Ground, and the company Audible. The show is scheduled to start March 7th.
Wow, that's an A++ list. My goodness, look forward to that. All right, former NFL quarterback, you remember Brett Favre, who remains involved in the largest welfare fraud scandal in Mississippi state history, has filed 3 separate defamation lawsuits against state auditor Chad White, as well as national sports commentator Shannon Sharpe and Pat McAfee. Favre's lawsuit against White, whose office first discovered the fraudulent spending that ultimately led to criminal charges against 6 people, accuses White of, quote, shamelessly and falsely attacking Favre's good name to advance his political career. Favre's lawsuit against Shannon Sharpe alleges that he defamed Favre on his Fox Sports 1 Undisputed show by saying Favre was, quote, a sorry mofo to steal from the lowest of the low, and that Favre stole money from people that really needed that money As of now, Favre has not been criminally charged, and I just remember the outrage because I want to say that Favre case came out at the same time that maybe Irving was being attacked in some kind of way.
Kyrie Irving?
Yeah. And there was more attention to that, and they were kind of throwing this Brett Favre thing under the rug. It definitely showed some favoritism towards Favre and his good name, that he really didn't get raked over the coals with the accusations. I know, everybody is supposed to have due process, but just the accusations alone and some of the proof that had came out with the breaking of the story, you didn't see people grab hold to it like they were raking Irvin over the coals for whatever he was doing at that time. I remember those stories being pretty much parallel.
Yeah, I mean, I remember there being, I think there were text messages or transcripts of some conversation that he had with the then governor of Mississippi. And this is the deal. At the very best, it's murky. Right? It doesn't appear that Brett Favre's hands were completely clean, and it also doesn't appear, that the commentators, were unfair in their criticism based upon the information that was in the public realm at that time. I am not a lawyer, and so I will leave it up to all the legal experts to, make heads or tails as to whether or not, this lawsuit is plausible, but you would think that Brett Favre would spend his time and energy and use his name and likeness, to do more for the people of Mississippi, to win folks over, and to prove that he wasn't the mofo, that one of the commentators sort of referred to him as, because it appeared as if he was profiting off of poor people in Mississippi at a time where they really needed support from the state government.
Was sashay his behind to Jackson and help pass out water, just to make good, especially if you say you're innocent, but you like you say, the waters are murky, and to sort of kind of, push yourself past that. Go hand out some water, go purchase some water, go sit down in those Senate chambers or those city chambers or county chambers or wherever they talk and discuss about cleaning up this water debacle. Be front and center with it. That's how he could help.
And I think you're right. I think you raise a really important point. Let's not act like what's happening in Jackson, Mississippi is A-OK, right? Folks are still struggling. Folks are still getting brown water. They still get boil water notices in Jackson. And so I'm a little surprised because I thought, Brett Favre and his team, in an effort to sort of rehab, his image.
I think that would be first and foremost.
That they would focus on what they can do to make people's lives better, as opposed to, retribution.
You take that defamation energy and you go to Jackson and you help these people out. That's how you rebound.
Yeah. Well, speaking of help, one nonprofit is making sure that leftover food at the Super Bowl will not go to waste. The Food Recovery Network will be on hand at the Super Bowl to collect leftovers to donate to those in need. The organization will coordinate rescuing the leftover food so it won't go to waste. They will ensure that the collected food will be donated to those in need. This will be the third year that the Food Recovery Network will be on hand to combat the loss of food that can be donated to those who need it. The nonprofit organization has been around since 2011, when it was started to fight food waste on college campuses. And, what a very unique way to spend one's time. I would imagine there's a lot of leftover food following the Super Bowl, but I'm just a little unclear as to how are they going to donate this to other folks? Exactly.
Listen,
how exactly does this happen?
This is my little concern here, my red flag here. It's kind of on the same lines. I think it's great. The Super Bowl is a big event, but how about applying this sort of kind of effort to every day? There are bakeries and grocery stores and restaurants who, by the end of the day, food has not been used. It's still good. I'm kind of confused on, when you hear policy not allowing people to donate leftovers, why why is this okay in this particular situation? Because I've heard that where, oh, we got to throw it away because, we're not, by law, we're not allowed to. Okay, so how does that shift for this particular event, and why can't those rules apply to every day? So, these folks can use their leftovers to feed, the hungry. We know those stats are still off the charts here in America, which doesn't make sense to me. So I'm great effort, but I'm a little confused why this can't be something ongoing every day, and the whole idea, the dumpster divers movement and so on and so forth. They don't even have to dive. Just provide a way for the people to have the leftover food that's not used after the day is done, or whatever the case, or the shift is over, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think you make all good points.
Yeah. All right. On February 10th, 1964, as you can see, we're getting into some Black history here. The United States House of Representatives passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 after 70 days of debate. The act made discrimination illegal on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, and sex in public accommodations, employment, and programs that are federally funded. A substitute bill of this major piece of civil rights legislation was finally approved on June 19, 1964 by the United States Senate after a 50-day filibuster organized by senators from the South.
A very big piece of legislation. We wouldn't be standing here without that legislation, and so
that's right.
We appreciate that. We stand on those shoulders. When we return, we're talking everything Super Bowl 57 for what this year's game means for Black Americans.
It's huge. Fox's own Guy Lambert, good buddy of mine, will join us to discuss this year's big game. Stay close. You're watching Fox Soul's Black Report.